he's mine.
Welcome in, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Today's video is going to be me doing a tutorial on making the sweater. It's the boy is mine. If you haven't heard, Brandy and Monica has come together to do this concert, and I decided to make the sweater to wear to the concert. So if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video so others can maybe make the same sweater and we can all be matching at the concert whenever we go. So let's get started. As you can see here, I already had a head start in making some granny squares. The granny squares is going to be the front panel and the sleeve panel. And I'm gonna do a couple on screen with you guys. The pattern for the granny squares are basically simple. I just did half double crochets and 12 rows of half double crochets, and that was it. That's all I did. And then this is going to be the back panel, and then we're going to have some of the squares are going to go on the back part of the panel, and the rest of it is going to go on the front and sleeve. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you how I did the back panel of the sweater. Okay guys, so to get started, on the back panel, all we're going to need at the moment is 2 colors. So whatever 2 colors you want to do for the back panel, you know, you gotta grab them, and then have some scissors at the end and a 6.5K hook, and we're gonna get started. So the first row we are going to do is going to be a double crochet chain. If you don't know how to do it, I'm going to link the video down below where you can go back and look at it, and then you can just meet me when you're done with it. And basically that's going to be considered our first row, and we're going to do 48 double crochet chains, and I will meet you at the end once you're done with the 48 chains. Okay, so guys, I went off camera and I did my 47 chains of a double crochet. So basically this is gonna act as our first row. And row 2, we're gonna take our second color, and the second color is gonna be our lettering. We're gonna use the second color to do our lettering. So we're gonna chain 1 and turn our work, and the first 7 stitches we're gonna do a half double crochet in the first 7 stitches. And what we're gonna do, every time we go in and change our color, so this is how we're gonna do our first letter, which is gonna be the T, and we're gonna go in the first 3 stitches for the, well, actually the first 9 stitches for the letter T. And now we're going to switch colors. And all we're going to do is whenever you're switching your colors, try not to put it too tight, because it's going to make the next chain feel tight. And then our main color, we're going to go into the next 3 stitches. And now we're going to stop here and change color again. And now we're going to work on the H. So we're going to go into the next 3 stitches for the H. Now in the beginning, it's not going to look like nothing in the beginning, but once you start having a few rows in, it'll start to look the part. Because this is how it's looking so far. Then we're going to change color again and single crochet, half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And we're going to change here for the second half of the H. And we're going to switch colors again. And half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And we're going to change color again. So this is how it's looking. And we're going to have double crochet in the next 9 stitches. Then we're going to switch colors and finish the row off with our main color. And we're going to chain 1 and work on the back side. So the back side of it is going to look like this, but don't worry about it. So we're going to work the first 7 stitches with our main color. We're going to change color and chain the next 7 stitches. So we're gonna switch colors, and with the main color, do 3 stitches with the main color. And then every time you come to switch colors, just make sure you always put the work to the back. We're going to switch colors again and do 3 half doubles in the next 3 stitches. We're going to change color again. The next 3 stitches, you're going to put a half double crochet. Oops, let me go back, because I gotta change color again. And change color, and then we're gonna do 3 half double crochets. And now we are almost at the end of the row, and then we're gonna do our 7 half double crochets. So the beginning and the end of each row should have 7 half double crochets. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now as you're doing it, it's gonna, because right now it's upside down, but as you're doing it, this is the T here, this is where the H is gonna be, and then this is the E. So this row, I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and do this row. It's gonna be the first 3 rows are the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and do this 3rd row, and then come back, and then we're gonna change up on the 4th row. So this is how it's looking. The T, we should have the first 4 rows. It's gonna be the 9 stitches of the letter T, and then we should have 5 rows of the H, and then this is the E. So from here on out, the T, we're only gonna do 3 stitches of the secondary color, and for the H and the E, the next 4 rows. For the H, we're gonna do 9 stitches of the secondary color for the H. And then for the E is gonna differ. For the E, the next 3 rows we're gonna do 8 stitches of the secondary color, and then the rest of the row is going to be the main color. When you get to the fourth row of the E, we're only going to do 3 stitches here, like I have here, and then the rest of it's going to be the main color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I will be back to show you how the progress is coming along. So this is how it's looking. We are going to go ahead and finish up the word, and the last 4 rows we're going to have double crochet. For the T, we're going to do 3 stitches for the T in the secondary color, 6 for the H, and then 9 stitches of the secondary color for the E. And then once we finish that off, it'll be 4 rows, and we can move on to the next word. And I will be back. I'm going to finish off the last 4 rows off camera, and I'll be back to show you how the word is looking. This is how it's looking. I went ahead and for the next row, I went ahead and did a treble crochet. And this is something that I'm going to do between all of the words to separate it. So the next word we're going to work on is the word boy. And okay guys, I'm back at the beginning of the row. So now this row is going to change a little bit. And I know I said earlier the beginning and end of each row should have 6 stitches. It's really 7. So like I said, this row is going to change a little bit with the exception of the Y. The Y for the next couple of rows is going to be the same. So we're going to do 6 stitches of the secondary color and 3 of the main color for the Y for the next couple of rows. But this particular row, so the B here is going to be 8 stitches of the secondary color, and then the O is going to be 7 stitches, and then the Y is going to the stitch is going to stay the same. It's going to be 6 and then 3, and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, now that I made it back to the end of the row, so now this row we're gonna work our way to the B. So the Y, we're gonna do 7 stitches of the secondary color in the middle, and then we're gonna do 2 of the main color. And then when you get to the O should look like this. When you get to the O, we're gonna do 3 stitches of the secondary color, 3 of the main, and 3 of the secondary color. We're gonna do this for both the B and the O. And then of course you're gonna do your secondary color for your spaces. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Alright guys, we made it back to the beginning of the row. So now here, for the B, we're gonna do 9 stitches for the B. And then the O, we're gonna do 3, 3, and 3. 3 of the secondary color, 3 main, and 3 secondary color. And then for the Y, we're gonna do only 5 stitches of the secondary color. And I will do this off camera, and I'll be back. I'll see you at the end of the row. Alright, so this is how we're looking. So this row we're gonna do 5 stitches of the secondary color for the Y. The O we're gonna do 3, 3, and 3, and then the B we're gonna do 8 stitches of the secondary color. And I will be back at the end of the row. Okay, I made it back to the end of the row. So now the next 4 rows is gonna finish off the letter boy, or the word boy. And the next 4 rows is pretty simple. For the letter B, the next 4 rows, we're gonna do 2 rows of 9, 1 row of 8, and 1 row of 7, and this is all in the secondary color. And then the O is slightly different but similar. We're gonna do 2 rows of 9, 1 row of 7, and then 1 row of the last row is going to be 5 stitches of the secondary color, and then the Y is going to be the same for the last 4 rows. 3 stitches of the secondary color all the way to the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera, and I will meet you at the end. So this is how it's looking. So we did the and we did boys, so now we're on the word is. So now for this one, it's going to be a little different from the first 2 words that we did, because the first 2 rows that we did, the first 2 words that we did, we started with 6 stitches and ended with 7 stitches for both of the words. So now this word I'm gonna start with 12 stitches in the beginning with the main color, and then when we get to the I, we're gonna do 9 stitches in the secondary color, and we're gonna do 4 spaces in the main color to separate the 2 letters, and then do 4 stitches in the secondary color for the S, and finish it off with 13 stitches at the end. But basically, for the letter I, it's very simple. The first 3 rows, you're going to do 9 stitches of the secondary color, and then after, we're going to do 8 rows of the secondary color, 3 stitches, and then finish it off with 9 stitches for the last 3 rows for the letter I. Now the S is a little different. I'm gonna let you know each row. Like I said, the first one is going to be 4 stitches. We're going to start with that, and then for each row from here on out, I'll let you know how many stitches we're going to need for each row after. And I'm going to come back after I do the first row. I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so now we came to the end of the row. Now this row, we're going to come back around the S, which is right here. This is going to be the S here, and we're going to do 6 stitches of the secondary color, and of course 9 stitches for the letter I, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Okay, so now we are at the end of the row. So now the next row, I have it upside down, but so now this row, we are going to do 1 more row of 9 stitches for the I, and then for the S, we're going to do 8 stitches. And I will come back and meet you at the end of the row. Okay, so I made it back to the end of the row. So now this row, we're going to do, for the S, 9 stitches. And then now we're going to work on doing 3 stitches for the I for the next 8 rows. So as far as the S, we're going to do 9 stitches for this row, and then 3 stitches for the I. And I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Alright, I made it back to the end. So now for this row, we're going to continue to do 3 stitches of the secondary color for the I. Now when we get to the S is going to be 3, 3, and 3. So 3 stitches of the secondary color, 3 in the middle for the main color, and then 3 at the end for the secondary color for the S. So it's going to start taking the shape. So the S should look something like this. So this is what we're working with. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this row, do my stitches, and I will meet you back at the end of the row. Okay guys, this is how we're looking. It's coming along nicely. So this row is only going to require 6 stitches of the secondary color, 3 for the I and 3 for the S. And then the next row after that, 7 stitches for the S, and then 3 stitches for the I again. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the next 2 rows off camera, and I'll meet you back at the next row. Okay, so now I made it back to the end of the row. So for this row, we're gonna do 3 stitches here again for the I, and we're gonna do 6 stitches here for the S, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Okay, so I made it back to the end of the row. So now this row, for the S, we're gonna do only 5 stitches for this row, 3 here on the end, and then 2 in the front. And then we're gonna continue to do our 3 stitches in our secondary color for the I. And I will meet you back at the end of the row. Okay guys, so I am back at the end of the row, and the word is starting to form. So I'm gonna do the next 2 rows off camera. So I'm gonna do, when I come back around this way, I'm gonna do 1 row of 3 stitches and then 1 row of 9 stitches for the I to finish it off, and then 2 rows of 9 stitches here for the S. And I will meet you back at the end of the row. Alright, so I made it back to the end of the row, and we're down to our last 2 rows. So we're gonna go ahead and finish off the row with the I. It's gonna be 9 stitches for the next 2 rows, and for the S, we're gonna do 7 stitches, and then the last row gonna be 5. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll just meet you back at the end of the row. Alright, I made it back to the end of the row. So now we're gonna work on the last word, which is mine, and we're gonna start the row with the letter E and do 9 stitches. We're gonna go straight into the row with our 9 stitches for the E, and then for the N it's gonna be 7 stitches. The I is gonna be 9, and then the M is gonna be over here, and then the M is gonna be 4 stitches. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this off camera, and I'll meet you back to the end of the row. And also, as you're doing it, make sure you're doing the spaces in between the letters, and each letter is gonna have 3 spaces in between the letter for this row. Okay, I made it back, so this is how it's looking. So now this row, the pattern for all the letters is going to be almost the same except for the M. The M here, this is how it's looking. We're going to do 3 stitches on each side, which is going to total 6 stitches in the secondary color. We're going to do 9 here again for the I. The N, we're going to do 7 stitches, 4 on the left side, and then 3 stitches here on the right side, and then the E is going to be 9 stitches again at the end of the row. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I will be back at the end of the row. Alright, so we're back. So now this row, the pattern going to be similar with the exception of the letter M. Here we're going to do 8 stitches, 4 on each side in the secondary color. We're going to do 1 more row of 9 stitches here for the I. Here we're going to do another row of 7 stitches, 4 on this side, 3 on this side. And then for the E, another row of 9 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so here I am. I made it back. So now the next 2 rows are going to be similar. The M, we're going to do 9 stitches for the next 2 rows in the secondary color for the M. The I, we're going to do 3 stitches. The N, here we're going to do 9 stitches, and then when you get to the E, the E is going to be the only one that's going to differ for this row, and the next one, this row, we're going to do 9 stitches, and then the next row we're going to do 3 stitches for the E. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that and meet you back at the end of the row. Okay guys, so I made it back. So this is how it's looking. So for this row, the M is going to have 9 stitches. The I is going to have 3 stitches. The N is going to have 9 stitches here again. And this row, the E, is gonna have 8 stitches. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. 9, 3, 9, and then 8 stitches here for this row, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so I made it to the end, so this is how it's looking. Now for this row, the stitches for the M is gonna differ. So we're gonna do a total of 7 stitches. So we're gonna start with 3 stitches of the secondary color, 1 main, 1 secondary, 1 main, and then finish it off with 3 stitches of the secondary color. And then for the I, it's gonna be 3 stitches, the N 9 stitches, and then the E is gonna be 8 stitches. So the only thing that's gonna change is the M. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, so now I made it back. So now for this row, the M, if you've been following along, the M, you should have 3 stitches, 3, 1, and 3. So from here on out, for the M, so for this row we're gonna do 3, 3, and 3 for this row. So you're gonna do 3 in the secondary color, 3 in the main, and 3 in the secondary color. And then the I is gonna be 3 stitches here for the secondary color, and then 9 stitches again here, and then 8 stitches here for the E. And I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Okay, so I made it back. So this row, the stitches for the most part gonna stay the same. We're gonna do 3, 3, and 3 here for the M. We're gonna do 3 stitches of the secondary color for the I, 9 stitches for the N, and then when you get to the E, you're gonna do 3 stitches like we have here for the E, and finish off the row with your main color. And I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay guys, so this is how it's looking. It's coming along nicely, so we're almost finished. So for this row, we're gonna continue to do the 3, 3, and 3 here. We're gonna continue to do 6 stitches of the secondary color here, and then 3 of the main color here in the middle. We're gonna do 3 stitches here for the I, and then for the N, we're gonna do the opposite of what we did here for the N. So we're gonna do the first 3 stitches in the secondary color, 1 in the main color, and then 5 stitches in the secondary color. And then we're gonna do one more row here of 3 stitches in the secondary color, and finish it off with the main. And I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, I made it back to the end of the row. So now for this row, we are going to continue to work the stitches the same as we've been doing for the M and the I. Now when you get to the end, we're gonna do 3 stitches here in the beginning like I have here in your secondary color. You're gonna do 2 stitches of the main color, and then finish it off with 4 stitches of your secondary color here. And when you get to the M from here on out, the letter E, when you get to the E, from here on out till we finish it off, we're gonna do 9 stitches for the rest of the E. So we're gonna continue to do that, and I'll meet you back at the end for the next row. Okay y'all, so here we are nearing the end. We only have 3 rows left, and so for the M, we're gonna keep repeating the M. You're gonna do now. However, mine is a little different because I added an extra stitch in somewhere. But if you've been following the pattern, yours should be 3, 3, and 3. 3 of the secondary color, 3 main and 3 secondary color here. And then when you get to the eye, the last 3 rows, you're gonna do 9 stitches for your eye and finish that up. And now here for the end, we're gonna repeat the last row and do 3 stitches here in the secondary color, 2 in the main and 4 in the secondary color. And then the E, for the next 3 rows, we're gonna finish it off and do 9 stitches for the last 3 rows. The end gonna be the only one that's gonna be different. The last 3 rows, cause like I said, this row we're gonna repeat the last row and do 3, 2, and 4. And then I'm gonna let you know what we're gonna do next for the last 2 rows. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this off camera, and I'll come back and reach at the end of the row. Okay, so here is how it's looking. We are down to our last 2 rows, and basically all we're gonna do, we're gonna start from this way, work our way to the end. The last 2 rows, basically what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do 2 more rows of 9 stitches in the secondary color for the E. For the end, when you get to it, we're gonna do 3 stitches of the secondary color here, 3 in the main and 3 in the secondary color here for the end. And then the eye, we're gonna do the last 2 rows with 9 stitches, and then the same thing here for the M. We're gonna do 6. You know, it'll be 3 in the secondary color, 3 in the main, and 3 in the secondary color here. So I will do the last 2 rows and finish it up and show you the outlook when I make it back to the end of the row. Okay guys, here is the finished look. This is how the sweater is looking. This is the back panel of the sweater. You can't really see the M right now, but this is how it's looking. The sleeves, and this is the front. The granny squares, I did a total of 12 for the front, 6 on each side, and then the sleeves have 8 on each side, total in 16. So I think altogether I did like 20 something, almost 30 granny squares altogether, and this is how it's looking. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it did it some justice. If you didn't already, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the video. If you have, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up. I have a few loose ends. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up, and I'm gonna probably do some ruffles maybe to it. Finish it up and add some ruffles to the sweater. And if you have any advice, this is my first video. Y'all let me know what I should do different. All comments are appreciated. And I'm gonna leave the links for the back panel that helped me to do them. Yes, so you know, it wasn't hard. It's not hard to do. So this is very beginner to intermediate, beginner friendly. So I hope you like it.